In the heart of a bustling downtown district, a new restaurant called Harmony was turning heads with its innovative fusion cuisine. The owner, a passionate chef who had spent 15 years perfecting his craft in kitchens across Asia and Europe, had finally achieved his dream of opening his own establishment. His wife, a brilliant neurosurgeon at the city's top hospital, had been his rock throughout the journey, helping with everything from taste testing new recipes to managing the finances. The restaurant's interior reflected its name, a perfect blend of modern elegance and warm hospitality. Crystal chandeliers cast a soft glow over dark wooden tables, while hand-painted murals depicting various cultural celebrations adorned the walls. The menu was equally thoughtful, featuring dishes that brought together flavors from different corners of the world in unexpected but delightful combinations. Opening night had been a tremendous success, with food critics praising the innovative menu and sophisticated ambience. The owner had handpicked his staff, ensuring they shared his vision of creating not just a restaurant, but a welcoming space where people from all backgrounds could come together over exceptional food. His wife, though incredibly busy with her medical career, had been instrumental in shaping the restaurant's inclusive culture. She often joked that between saving lives in the operating room and helping launch the restaurant, she barely had time to sleep. But seeing her husband's dream come to life made it all worthwhile. As word spread about Harmony's unique offerings, reservations became increasingly difficult to secure. The restaurant quickly became the talk of the town, with social media buzzing about its signature dishes and impeccable service. Regular customers began sharing stories about how the owner would often step out of the kitchen to chat with them, making everyone feel like part of the Harmony family. The couple's different careers actually complemented each other perfectly. While he created art on plates, she performed intricate brain surgeries. They shared a deep commitment to excellence and treating people with respect, values that became the cornerstone of Harmony's philosophy. Each evening, the restaurant came alive with the sounds of clinking glasses, warm laughter, and excited conversations as guests sampled dishes they'd never encountered before. The staff moved with practiced grace between tables, explaining the unique elements of each dish with genuine enthusiasm. Little did anyone know that an ordinary Tuesday evening would soon put everything the restaurant stood for to the test. The events that would unfold would not only challenge the establishment's values, but would also spark a conversation that would ripple through the entire community. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reveal both the ugly face of prejudice and the power of dignity in responding to it. But for now, Harmony continued to serve its guests, unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. It was their 5th wedding anniversary, but like many of their special days, work kept them apart. The neurosurgeon had just finished a grueling 12-hour surgery, while her husband was busy in Harmony's kitchen preparing for the evening service. As she changed out of her scrubs, a smile played on her lips as she thought of the perfect way to celebrate. She decided to surprise her husband by dining at his restaurant, but with a twist. She wouldn't announce herself as the owner's wife. After years of supporting the restaurant's growth from behind the scenes, she was curious to experience it as a regular customer. She went home, dressed in a simple but elegant black dress, and styled her hair, a rare treat for someone who usually spent her days in surgical caps. The evening air was crisp as she walked into Harmony. The host greeted her with the same warm smile given to all guests, not recognizing her in the dimmed lighting. She requested a table for one, something that still made many servers uncomfortable, but the host didn't bat an eye and led her to a lovely corner table with a view of the busy kitchen. As she settled in, she observed the restaurant's atmosphere from this new perspective. The soft jazz music, the murmur of happy conversations, and the occasional burst of laughter from nearby tables created a symphony of contentment. She watched the staff move efficiently between tables, their choreography precise and practiced. A new face appeared at her table, a server she hadn't seen before. His initial greeting was polite but cool, his smile not quite reaching his eyes as he looked at her. She noticed his demeanor was markedly different from how he interacted with other diners, particularly the older white couple at the adjacent table. When she asked about the wine list, specifically inquiring about their rare vintage collection, which she had helped curate, the server's expression shifted subtly. His response was tinged with condescension as he steered her toward the less expensive options, making assumptions that made her stomach tighten. She maintained her composure, years of handling high-pressure situations in the operating room serving her well. She noticed other diners beginning to pick up on the tension, with a few throwing concerned glances her way. The couple at the next table exchanged uncomfortable looks, the woman's hand tightening around her water glass. As the evening progressed, she decided to order one of the most expensive wines on the list, a bottle she and her husband had discovered during their honeymoon in France. The server's reaction would set in motion a chain of events that would test not just her patience, but the very values Harmony was built upon. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reveal both the persistent reality of everyday prejudice and the power of responding with dignity and grace. Little did the server know, his next words would change not just his evening, but the entire trajectory of his career. The tension in the restaurant reached its peak when the server returned to take the wine order. His face twisted with poorly hidden disdain as he looked at the label she pointed to on the menu. "Are you sure about this selection?" he asked, his tone dripping with skepticism. "Perhaps I could suggest something more suitable for your taste." The surrounding tables had grown quieter, the usual dinner chatter dying down as people noticed the uncomfortable exchange. The neurosurgeon kept her voice steady and professional, the same calm tone she used when dealing with difficult situations in the hospital. "I'm quite familiar with this vintage," she replied. "It's an excellent choice for this evening." The server's next words came out in a barely concealed whisper, but still loud enough for nearby diners to hear. "We usually reserve our premium selections for guests who can truly appreciate their value." His emphasis on certain words left no doubt about his meaning. The restaurant's floor manager, who had been watching the interaction from across the room, was already moving toward their table. She'd noticed the server's behavior earlier, but hadn't intervened quickly enough to prevent this moment. Her face showed a mix of horror and embarrassment as she approached. The neurosurgeon remained poised, her years of handling high-pressure situations evident in her response. She slowly placed her napkin on the table and stood up, her presence commanding attention without raising her voice. "I don't just appreciate the value of that wine," she said clearly. "I helped select it for our wine list." The silence in the restaurant was now complete. The server's face went through a rapid series of expressions: confusion, disbelief, and then dawning recognition. The floor manager had reached their table, but before she could speak, the neurosurgeon continued. "I'm not just a customer," she explained, her voice carrying across the now silent restaurant. "I'm one of the owners. My husband is the chef, and this restaurant represents our shared dream of creating a space where everyone feels welcome." The server's face had drained of color, his previous arrogance replaced by visible panic. Other staff members had stopped in their tracks, watching the scene unfold. The couple at the next table, who had witnessed everything, were now shaking their heads in disapproval at the server's behavior. The floor manager stepped forward, her voice firm but professional. "Please come with me," she told the server, who seemed to have lost the ability to speak. As they walked away, the manager was already reaching for her phone to call the owner. The evening was far from over, and this incident would lead to changes that would reshape the restaurant's future. Within minutes of the floor manager's call, the chef owner rushed from the kitchen, still wearing his white coat. The dining room had settled into an uneasy quiet, with conversations happening in whispers. His wife met him near the entrance to the private dining area, her composure intact despite the situation. The couple spoke quietly, their professional experience evident in how they handled the crisis. The chef's face showed controlled anger, but his voice remained steady as he spoke with the floor manager. Meanwhile, diners watched discreetly, many of them regular customers who had never seen this side of the restaurant's operations. In the back office, The server sat pale-faced and silent. When confronted with his actions, he stumbled through weak excuses about maintaining standards and making assumptions. The chef listened without interrupting, his silence more powerful than any angry response could have been. "Our standards," the chef finally said, "include treating every guest with respect. No exceptions." His wife stood beside him, her presence adding weight to his words. The server's gaze remained fixed on the floor, unable to meet either of their eyes. The termination was immediate. As the server gathered his belongings, the floor manager began contacting the next day's staff to cover future shifts. The restaurant's smooth operation needed to continue even as this situation was handled. Back in the dining room, the chef's wife had returned to her table, but now she was joined by her husband. Other diners watched with newfound respect as the couple handled the situation with grace. The chef personally opened a bottle of their finest champagne, serving not just his wife, but also sending complimentary glasses to the surrounding tables that had witnessed the incident. The couple at the next table, who had watched everything unfold, raised their glasses in a quiet toast of support. Other diners followed suit, turning what could have been an ugly incident into a moment of unity. The restaurant's atmosphere gradually returned to normal, though conversations now carried an extra layer of meaning. As the evening wound down, regular customers stopped by their table to express support. Many shared their own experiences with discrimination, creating unexpected connections. What had started as an anniversary dinner had become a defining moment for the restaurant's identity. The chef and his wife stayed late that night, discussing how to prevent similar incidents in the future. Their wedding anniversary hadn't gone as planned, but they were together, stronger for having faced this challenge as a team. The next morning, before the restaurant opened for lunch service, the chef and his wife called an emergency staff meeting. The dining room, usually filled with the clinking of cutlery and cheerful conversation, was now silent as employees gathered around the largest table. The chef shared what had happened the previous night, his voice firm but caring. Some staff members looked shocked. Others nodded in understanding. They'd noticed similar subtle behaviors from the former server but hadn't spoken up. The neurosurgeon then took the floor, her surgical precision now applied to addressing workplace culture. "I'm not here to shame anyone," she began, looking around the room. "I'm here because we need to do better." She described her experience as a customer, pointing out the small signs of bias she'd noticed even before the confrontation. Several staff members shifted uncomfortably in their seats, recognizing similar unconscious behaviors in themselves. The floor manager, who had been taking notes, suggested implementing immediate changes to their training program. The chef agreed, adding that they would be bringing in professionals to conduct proper diversity and inclusion workshops. "This isn't just about following rules," he explained. "It's about understanding each other." During the discussion, a young waitress raised her hand hesitantly. With encouragement, she shared her own experiences of facing discrimination while working at other restaurants. Her story opened the floodgates, and soon others were sharing too. The meeting transformed into a powerful conversation about personal experiences and the need for change. The neurosurgeon, used to leading teams in high-pressure situations, guided the discussion toward solutions. Together, they drafted new guidelines for handling difficult situations and created a system for staff to report concerns without fear of retaliation. The chef emphasized that speaking up about discrimination would be rewarded, not punished. As the meeting concluded, there was a new energy in the room. Staff members lingered, continuing discussions in small groups. The kitchen team suggested adding special dishes that celebrated different cultures, while the service staff proposed learning more about the cultural significance of various menu items to share with guests. The incident had sparked something unexpected, a deeper connection among the staff and a shared commitment to making the restaurant truly live up to its name, Harmony. As they prepared for the lunch service, there was a sense that something fundamental had shifted. Word about the incident spread quickly through the city's restaurant community. The morning brought a flood of support from unexpected places. Local food bloggers praised the owner's swift response, while other restaurant owners reached out to discuss similar challenges in their establishments. The chef's phone buzzed constantly with messages from industry colleagues. But what caught his attention was an email from a prestigious restaurant association asking if he and his wife would speak at their upcoming conference about creating inclusive dining spaces. This wasn't the kind of attention they'd sought, but they recognized the opportunity to make a real difference. In the kitchen, the energy was different. Staff members who had previously kept to themselves were now engaging in open conversations. The head chef noticed one of his line cooks teaching others about the cultural significance of certain spices, while the pastry chef shared stories about desserts from her grandmother's homeland. The couple had always believed that food could bring people together, but now they were seeing it happen in real time. During the pre-service meeting, the floor manager shared customer feedback from the previous night. Many had written to express their support, with some saying they felt more welcome at Harmony than ever before. Lunch service was busier than usual. Word had gotten out, and people came not just for the food, but to show their support. The dining room buzzed with conversations about inclusion and community. Regular customers brought new friends, eager to share their positive experiences. A local news crew arrived, hoping to cover the story. Initially hesitant, the owners agreed after their staff encouraged them. The neurosurgeon spoke eloquently about turning a negative experience into positive change, while the chef emphasized their commitment to making everyone feel valued. That evening, during the staff's family meal before dinner service, something remarkable happened. The kitchen and front-of-house teams, usually separated by busy schedules, sat together. They shared dishes from their own backgrounds, each meal coming with a story. The restaurant's transformation was happening from the inside out. As they prepared for dinner service, there was a new sense of purpose. This wasn't just about serving food anymore. It was about creating a space where every person, whether staff or guest, felt truly welcome. The incident had sparked a change that would ripple far beyond their restaurant's walls. 1 week after the incident, Harmony launched its first community dinner series. The restaurant opened early on Monday, their usual closing day, to host a special event bringing together restaurant workers from across the city. The dining room was packed with servers, cooks, and owners, all eager to share their experiences and learn from each other. The neurosurgeon took the floor first, sharing her story not as an owner, but as someone who had faced discrimination throughout her career. Her words resonated with many in the room, sparking honest conversations about the challenges in the restaurant industry. The chef followed by announcing their new mentorship program, designed to support diverse talent in the culinary world. What started as one restaurant's response to bias grew into a citywide movement. Other establishments began reaching out, asking to join their initiative. The couple found themselves working late into the night, drafting guidelines for what they called the Welcome Table Initiative, a program that would help restaurants create more inclusive environments. Their staff took pride in being part of the change. The floor manager developed a training program that other restaurants could use, while the kitchen team created special menus celebrating different cultures each month. These weren't just token gestures. Each dish came with stories and history, shared with guests to deepen their understanding. Local culinary schools took notice. Soon, the chef was giving guest lectures about building inclusive kitchen cultures, while his wife spoke about handling difficult situations with grace. Their experiences became case studies in restaurant management courses, teaching future industry leaders the importance of addressing bias head-on. The couple's biggest surprise came when their story reached the National Restaurant Association. Their small incident had sparked a larger conversation about discrimination in fine dining. Rather than shy away from the publicity, they embraced the opportunity to create lasting change in their industry. As the community dinner wrapped up, the dining room buzzed with energy and hope. Plans were made, connections formed, and promises exchanged. What had started as a painful incident was transforming into a powerful movement for change, one meal at a time. 3 months after the incident, Harmony had become more than just a restaurant. It was a symbol of positive change. A local news channel featured their story in a special report about businesses making a difference in the community. The segment showed clips of their busy kitchen, where staff from different backgrounds worked together seamlessly. The neurosurgeon's hospital colleagues started hosting their department meetings at Harmony, impressed by how she and her husband had handled the situation. Medical students and young doctors sought her advice, not just about medicine, but about standing up to discrimination with professionalism and grace. Their Welcome Table initiative had spread to 30 other restaurants in the city. Each participating establishment displayed a special window decal, a simple design showing hands of different colors sharing a meal. Customers began looking for this symbol when choosing where to dine, making it a mark of trust and inclusivity. The chef received an invitation to share their story at a major food industry conference. Standing on stage, he spoke about the night that changed everything. But instead of focusing on the negative incident, he highlighted the positive changes it sparked. His speech ended with a standing ovation, and more restaurants signed up for the training program. Local schools started reaching out, asking if they could bring students for educational visits. The couple developed a youth program, teaching kids about different cultures through food. The kitchen became a classroom where young people learned not just about cooking, but about respect, understanding, and standing up for what's right. A prestigious culinary magazine featured Harmony in their annual Restaurants That Matter issue. The article praised not just their food, but their commitment to creating real change in the industry. Reservations became even harder to get, with people willing to wait weeks for a table. The former server who had caused the incident reached out with a heartfelt apology letter. He shared how the experience had forced him to confront his own biases and how he was now working to educate others in the service industry about unconscious prejudice. The restaurant's success proved that doing the right thing wasn't just morally correct, it was good for business too. Other owners began to see that creating an inclusive environment didn't just prevent problems, it created opportunities. 1 year after the incident, Harmony celebrated its anniversary with a special community feast. The dining room looked different now. Photos of staff members and their families lined the walls, each with a story about their heritage and journey. The menu had evolved too, featuring dishes that represented every team member's background. The couple stood together, watching their dream flourish in ways they hadn't imagined. Their restaurant had become a model for others, proving that excellent food and social responsibility could go hand in hand. The Welcome Table initiative now included over 100 restaurants across 3 cities. Their training program had grown into a full-fledged consulting service, helping restaurants create more inclusive environments. The neurosurgeon continued her medical career, but spent her free time mentoring young professionals facing discrimination in their workplaces. The chef regularly hosted cooking classes where cultural exchange was as important as culinary technique. The staff had grown too, now including graduates from their mentorship program. The kitchen buzzed with different languages, while the dining room staff reflected the diversity of their city. More importantly, employee turnover had dropped significantly. People wanted to stay part of something meaningful. Regular customers brought friends from out of town, proud to share not just the food but the story behind it. The restaurant's guest book filled with messages of gratitude, not just for the meals, but for creating a space where everyone felt valued. The couple's proudest moment came when they received a letter from a young culinary student. She wrote about how their story had given her courage to pursue her dreams in an industry where she felt out of place. She wasn't alone. Similar letters arrived weekly. As they prepared for another busy service, the chef and his wife took a moment to themselves. The incident that could have broken their spirit had instead strengthened their resolve. They had turned a moment of prejudice into a movement for change, proving that sometimes the worst moments can lead to the best outcomes. Harmony continued to live up to its name, not just as a restaurant, but as a beacon of hope. It showed that good food could nourish not just the body, but the soul of a community, and that true hospitality meant making everyone feel like they belonged.